everyone, and welcome back. I hope you are doing so well, and thanks for joining me tonight. Tonight is all about showing you and helping you recognize that you have everything you could wish for, no magic required. And if you're like me, and you recently watched the new Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, really, if you're like me, you've watched it countless times on repeat because you love it so much. But if you've seen that movie, you should recognize that phrase. You have everything you wish for. No magic required, excuse me. But you'll recognize that phrase because it's basically the main theme of the movie. And it's such a wonderful theme. Such a wonderful movie. I could go on and ramble about why I love that movie. I might make another video about that, actually. But for tonight, I just wanted to focus on that one theme that just was so beautiful and just spoke to me so much. And I think for a lot of people, really meant a lot to them when they saw that film. And it conveys it so wonderfully in a way that doesn't feel cheesy either. At least I don't think so. But yeah, I just wanted to have you join me tonight, and I know it can be something that's a little hard for us to recognize, that we have everything we wish, right in front of us. I think it can be really hard, and so hopefully tonight I can help you a little bit with that. And I think it'll be nice and relaxing too. So, a little warning, there will be probably some spoilers for Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, if that matters to you, just with some references I might make. But if you don't mind, then please stick around. If not, please go watch the movie and then come back and join me, because you should watch the movie anyway, whether you want to join me or not. But to start things off, I have here, I love wrapping y'all up in blankets and making me feel nice and cozy and warm and protected. And this blanket I have with me tonight is, I don't know if you'll be able to see the whole thing. This blanket has my dog's face on it. Someone gave it to me, or actually my mom gave it to me as a Christmas present a couple years ago. But, of course, if you've seen Puss in Boots: Last Wish, everyone knows the character Perrito, the adorable little chihuahua, who really becomes a source of comfort and a source of helping multiple characters really realize that they have their wish right in front of them. But my dog is very much one of those things that just helps me recognize that I have all that I could wish for right in front of me, especially when things get bad. And so, even though you personally don't know my dog, hopefully this little representation will, just help you feel nice and comfy, and just bring good vibes your way tonight, as I help you find the thing for you that helps you recognize all the good stuff in your life. So, I'm just going to wrap this around you, make you feel nice and warm and cozy. It's a really comfy blanket too. It's not just absolutely adorable because my puppy dog's on it. But I hope that will be a wonderful start to the evening. And then, what else I would like to start with is, I have here this hairbrush. I actually had it laying around, but the space starry design very much reminded me of the film with, the wishing star, especially the beginning where we get the little prologue about how the wishing star came to be. Just those gorgeous night sky imagery, I'm having trouble speaking tonight, that we see throughout the film. It's just a nice little thing that made me think of it. But what I'm going to do is really help you clear your thoughts to start off by brushing through, just gently brushing through all of your thoughts. I think a lot of times our minds just get so bogged down and clouded by everything going on in the world, too much going on in the world, really, and also with our own thoughts. There's a therapist content creator on YouTube who has done several reaction videos to Puss in Boots, Georgia Dow, I believe her name is, and I'll link some or one of her videos in the description. But she mentions, I think in several of these videos, how we just get so caught up in the rat race of life, of constantly trying to get ahead, to fulfill whatever goals we might have, just constantly thinking of the future, and that we forget to just take time to enjoy the moment and to recognize what's in front of us. And I think that's so true, and that's what hopefully I can help you with right now, is just combing away those thoughts, be they negative or be they just thoughts that are preventing you from realizing what you have in front of you, So just relax, and just enjoy this gentle brushing. Again, just brushing away anything you don't need. I mentioned we can get distracted by things going on in the world. And I definitely want to say that I did struggle a bit when I was thinking about making this video, because I think that given the state of the world today especially, and how it feels more and more like we live in a society that is working against the average person. We live in this messed up economy. At least this is all speaking at least from an American, but like every day I see people, not to get too political, but people having their basic human rights taken away. All these companies laying off people left and right, just people struggling to make a living wage of some sort. Like, the list goes on and on. I think it's rather tone deaf and quite honestly delusional to say, stop thinking about all of this other stuff. You have everything you need just with your family or whatever that may be. But I don't think that these things have to be exclusive. I think that we can recognize all of the things going on in the world and in our personal lives that are struggles, while also believing in this wonderful sentiment of you have everything you need, no magic required. I do think that they can exist at the same time and together. And that's also to say that in anything I say in this video, I don't mean to make light of or diminish in any way real world struggles that you may have. That's not the point at all. I think that, again, these can hopefully exist at the same time. This is just to, maybe let you look at the world in a different way, in a way that makes it, not even easier to deal with those struggles, but recognize that little bit of good, I guess. Because I think it's always important, even when things seem terrible, to just recognize that little bit of good. But yeah, we just want to clear your thoughts. Anything that might be distracting to you. I think also that it's very easy for us to confuse recognizing how special everything we have right now is for just settling for something that we don't deserve, but we actually deserve more. Like, there's a big difference, but it can seem like a fine line. And I think that we could also confuse just, recognizing what's in front of us for, like, even giving up our goals. It's important. This doesn't mean that you shouldn't have goals in life or strive for better things at all. Again, these are things that can live together, exist together. But I want to make sure that we clear those distractions, again, good or bad. We just want to get them out of the way so you can see clearly and think clearly. It can be so difficult, to go back to the real life struggles that people have. Again, this is not to make lighter of anything, but just to give an example. A lot of people have lost their jobs over the past several years. It's been terrible. It's been very scary. Even if you are lucky enough not to have lost your job. But I think a lot of people would say that they would trade their job as long as they still had their family, no questions asked. Like, their family is what's ultimately more important to them, and I know that you still need, to be able to support that family. It's gonna hurt them if you all aren't able to sustain yourselves and survive. So of course having a job is important, but I think it's recognizing what's going to keep you going in those hard times. Those are the kind of things that we're talking about when we say recognize that you have everything you could wish for. There's this creator on YouTube named Girl with the Dogs, and she's a dog groomer. And she posts all kinds of fun videos of the dogs that she grooms, but she recently posted a video called, I believe it was called The Luckiest Dog on the Planet. And it was all about this dog she groomed. He had been hit by a truck, and that's how he ended up in a shelter after a life on the streets. Finally got adopted. His owners drove across the country to come and pick him up from the shelter because they wanted him so bad. Then shortly after getting adopted, his owner's house caught on fire and burned down. And he was the only one of their pets that made it out alive. And then, not too long after that, this dog was diagnosed, I believe, with a type of cancer. And he was given 1 to 3 months to live. And luckily, the owners, I believe, paid like $18,000 for treatment to help prolong his life. And like half of that was donated by people in a GoFundMe. And he was given 1 to 3 months to live, and it's been 10 months since he was diagnosed with cancer. And he's lived 10 months, and you hear this story and you think, that doesn't sound lucky. That sounds like a string of nothing but bad luck and terrible things happening. But when you think about it, this dog that was living on the streets had people who cared about him so much that they drove across the country to get him, to rescue him. In this fire, he was the only one of several pets that made it out alive. Even though the house burned down, he made it alive, and he made it out alive and was reunited with his owners. And he was diagnosed with cancer, but hundreds of people came together to donate thousands of dollars to help get him treatment. And his owners cared enough about him to put up thousands of their own money to help him live as long and as well as he could. And that is what makes those moments, or not those moments, but the string of bad luck, something that, can just make, if you can look at it a different way, you can recognize that there's so many good things, and, just sort of restore your faith in humanity. And that's what I'm hoping to do, is just clear your thoughts so you can think about things in a different way. I know not every bad situation is going to have necessarily, like a bright side to it, but I think that, this more often than not, we can find the good in people and things and situations. We can recognize how lucky we actually are in a lot of situations where we may not feel like it. I hope you can recognize that. Even if it's, this is just one video. This video isn't going to, help with everything. But maybe over time, you'll be able to recognize some good things, even in times of struggle. I think it's important too to recognize that everybody's situation is different. Saying I have everything I could wish for, that's not, whatever that thing may be. What one person could wish for could be the total opposite of what someone else wishes for. And it's just important to recognize what it is we want or need in our lives. Okay, I think we did a lot of combing through there. I think it's good. Smooth you out just a bit. Just a couple other things to help you, help you clear your mind. It's just to recognize the difference between something that we just might want and something that is really meaningful to us. I think social media, I'm just gonna smooth out up here while I talk. Just smooth out. But I think social media, especially, it's created so much FOMO, created so many like unrealistic expectations that we should have for our lives, whatever aspect of our lives that may be, and just maybe stopping to think like, if I didn't see this thing on social media or from some other outside source, would I still want it? Would I still feel like I need it and that's what I need to strive for in my life? That's not to say that it's not, but I think that a lot of times recognizing that wish, that thing that is truly important to us, it's something that we just have sort of a gut feeling about, that we often, not always, but often don't need an outside influence to recognize it. It's just that thing that we feel inside, like we can tell if something's not right. If we're in a situation, apologies that this might be a little extreme, and again, it's not the case in every situation, but I think a lot of times if we're in a relationship, whether it be romantic or a friendship or whatever, work situations or something that feels abusive, or like we're being mistreated, I think an outside influence can help us recognize that. But a lot of times, even if we aren't sure, there's that gut feeling that something is wrong and something's not right, even if we're not sure what specifically it is. And I think the same goes for when we recognize that something is right, and it's so special and important, and it's not necessarily something that we can like put into words or, like describe in a way that feels tangible to us or others, but like you look at someone that you love and you just know it's right. As Goldilocks would say, it's just right. And I know that's corny, but that's kind of how it feels. That's how I feel a lot of the time for the things that, I know are part of my wish. And I think that's a great way to be able to recognize it for each individual person. So what we just did was we cleared your mind, cleared your thoughts out, and now I just want to make sure that we get every last little bit that could be distracting you from recognizing what your wish is. And I've got my little tweezers here. I'm just gonna pick some of those last artifacts hanging out in your mind that you just can't get rid of, that might be lingering there. Any little bits of fear. I think that was very common in Puss in Boots, especially with Puss and with Kitty Softpaws. Fear is a lot of what prevented them from recognizing that they had their wish right in front of them the whole time. I think, like I was saying, social media in the real world for us today can be such a distraction. Sort of like with Goldilocks in The Three Bears, she had this idea of what a family was supposed to look like based on what she was reading in all the fairy tales. I think that's actually very relevant to what a lot of us deal with social media today, is we see these picturesque images of what life should look like. And we forget that, for instance, families can look like anything. Families can be you and your pet goldfish. There's nothing wrong with that. Families can be you and your grandmother and your sibling. Families can be two dads or two moms. Families can be, you and your roommate. They can be anything. I know that this one's probably less common, but I do think work families exist. You can get really close with people at your work, whether it's because you're getting close because your work sucks, or because for good things involving work. But there's no rhyme or reason to what that should look like. I think, and I've emphasized this before, that it's important to recognize that in that situation, of course, you're being respected, that you are being treated with dignity and worth, but as long as there is not any sort of, mistreatment happening in whatever your relationship is, whatever your family, friendship dynamic might be, who's to say that it's wrong or that it's not, what it should be, that it's not just right. I thought that scene, or that whole storyline, was so beautiful. Oh my goodness. The part where Mama Bear, Goldilocks tells, alright, this is a little spoiler, but where Goldilocks tells the three bears, she's like, you didn't think I'd stay. You're bears. I need a real family. Something like that. And, oh gosh, Mama Bear is like, oh, I knew it was too good to last. If that wish will make you happy, we'll get it for you. Cause she still loves her so much and she wants her to be happy. And Mama Bear's crying as she says it. It's just, it breaks my heart. And I hope that if you're in a situation where perhaps you have not yet been able to recognize how important people are to you, and you are to them, that you're able to recognize that. Recognize when people love you, and when people care about you. I've got a lot of those things that were still sticking in there that we just couldn't get rid of. Okay, one more, right there in the center. Got it. Beautiful. Before I go on to the next thing, I wanted to read a little passage. This shows you how much I'm freaking obsessed with this film. Oh my god, I love it. I recently got the Puss in Boots art book because I love it so much. But I just wanted to read a passage out of here that also relates to Goldilocks, and I think really does a wonderful job of, just putting into words how we can get distracted from recognizing those important things in our lives. I'll show you some of the gorgeous artwork, concept art of Goldilocks. I'll try not to hit my microphone here. But it says, and this is producer Mark Swift speaking when I refer to Swift. Swift explains that Goldie's storyline really focuses on her search for what she perceives to be the perfect family. I think it widens the appeal of her story because everyone can identify with the notion of looking beyond what you have for something that makes your life special. She doesn't think she belongs to the bears. She would rather be the princess in a fairy tale world. Of course, through her journey, Goldie realizes that she has what she needs to begin with, which is similar to what Puss and Kitty discover as well. It all ties in with the theme of our movie, which is that no magic is really required. You may have already what you need. You just need to appreciate what you have. And I think that is so, so lovely. And there's one more quote that that I think is wonderful I wrote down that also relates to Goldie. This is by the movie connoisseur, who's a content creator here on YouTube, who also made like a analysis video of Puss in Boots, and he says about Goldie, she's blinded by her desire for what she has lost, that she doesn't realize what she has. And I think that's so good too, because again, we all have those struggles, we all face loss, face terrible things, and those negative feelings that we have when we deal with those situations are completely valid. If you lose your job, you should be upset. You have every right to be depressed and to be, mad at the world even. There's nothing wrong with that. I think it's terrible to expect people to be happy all the time, or, even if you do recognize the good things, to just feel like you can write off all the bad stuff. No, because it's real stuff that affects your life. And it's not healthy to not honor those feelings and not address those issues that could affect you as a ramification of whatever it is that's happened. But we don't want to let it blind us to what we have that is good, because things can always get so much worse. I think it's bad whenever, it can happen where whatever those feelings are, we can let them take over and become our lives. And that's what we don't want to happen, with honoring the feelings whenever we have lost something. Alright, so now we've cleared your thoughts, we've plucked out anything still remaining up there that might disrupt your thoughts or bog down your mind. I feel like that's a weird way to describe that, but struggling for words right now. But what I do, so I'm going to use the end of this gorgeous brush. I'm going to use this end in just a bit, but we're going to start with the pointy handle part, just as a means to help you focus. So I just want you to follow this tip right here. There we go. But I think that even when we've cleared our mind of all of these negative thoughts and distractions, it can still be really hard to focus and to recognize those good things that we have in our lives. So this is just sort of like a little visualization thing to hopefully help you just center in on one thing in particular and find those good things in your life. Or good thing, it doesn't have to be a whole bunch of stuff. I think if we can just find one thing that is super important to us and super meaningful to us and gives us restores our faith in humanity, or gives us happiness when all else feels bad, I think that's enough that we can say that we have what we wish for. So I'm gonna put this, my hair got caught, but I'm gonna put this right up here, and let's see, we can focus there we go, I think that should be good. Focus the camera, I just want you to focus right here. I'm going to move this point back and forth across the frame. And as you center in, on this point, wherever you may see it, drift across the screen. Focus on that, and focus on that thing in your life that makes you happy. That if you lost everything else, it would be the one thing that you would make sure you held on to and you protected. Just follow that point. And don't try too hard to think of anything right this moment if you don't have something that comes to you super easily. I know, again, that it can be hard to think of the good things sometimes. Don't worry about thinking of something right now. Just think about focusing and centering your mind. Now that we've cleared it, just think of following this point so that we can focus, or you can focus later on and hopefully recognize those good things. Recognize whatever it is that's your wish at a later time that's easier and more comfortable for you. Come in. Just center in right here, right on you. Right there. I mean, again, we're talking about your thoughts right now, and it's just, again, to help you get centered. Right there. And to focus on the thing that's important to you. Okay. Now, hopefully you were able to think of something that's important to you, but if not, again, don't worry. I think that this next thing might help as well. If you haven't been able to pinpoint what your wish is, but I'm going to use this gorgeous rainbow floofy brush. Nothing special, it's not a Moda brush. This is just some generic thing I got on Amazon. I think a lot of ASM artists have used these. But I loved the rainbow. It reminded me of all the gorgeous colors in Puss in Boots. Oh, it's such a beautiful movie to look at. But yeah, lots of just really rich, lush rainbow colors throughout. And so this very much reminded me of it. But I know for me, one of the most comforting triggers for me is face brushing. I absolutely love it. And it's one of those things that just like always manages to calm me down and help me relax. And I think what I'm hoping this will help for you in addition to just relaxing you and giving you tingles, of course, is that, again, we want to think of those things that are super comforting to us. I think whenever we are able to recognize what our wish is, it's something that brings us so much comfort, so much joy, and makes us feel better about, again, all of those bad things that are happening in the world. I know for me, I'm someone who deals with a lot of anxiety. A lot. And I'm very fortunate in that a lot of really terrible things happening in the United States these days have, for the most part, not affected me too much. But I definitely get into a bit of like a doom scrolling type obsession with worrying about what's going to happen next. When is something going to happen that's going to affect me, and like just like ruin my life? You know, one day I wake up and everything's terrible. And I do think that's a very real situation for a lot of people right now. But the thing that really helps me to get through that, not to take those worries away, but to just calm me, to remind me that the world's going to hell, but I've got a little bit of goodness, you know, here with me, are those people who are closest to me, who I love so much. You know, I just look at them and it just makes me happy. I think that is the kind of feeling that, you know, recognizing what our wish is, that's what it does to us. It gives us confidence when we feel terrible. It, you know, just cheers us up a little bit when all seems like it's going to hell. It reminds us that there's still something to be happy about. So I know this is like a Puss in Boots themed kind of video, but I believe it's the first Sex and the City movie, when all the girls are just sitting around chit-chatting. And I think that they're just talking about, like, you know, married life and the struggles, blah, blah, blah. You know, their struggles and their upper class New York lifestyles. There might have been a bit of saltiness there. But anyway, at one point Charlotte is talking about, you know, her life, and with her, I think she's pregnant at the time and she's already got one kid and all this stuff. And one of the other friends asks her if she's happy, and she says, yeah, I'm happy. And I'm happy every single day. Not all day every day, but every single day. And that is something that just, I don't know, really stuck with me in the midst of, like, what is so often such a materialistic show or movie. I think the show's a lot better than the movies. I'm actually a fan of the show, but it just stuck with me, and I was like, that's how I think about a lot of my relationships. So, you know, they don't need to be perfect. They shouldn't be perfect. That's ridiculous to think that they should. And you don't have to be happy the whole time. But are you happy every single day? You know, do you wake up and you're thankful? You know? Instead of waking up and being like, oh, it's another day, or waking up in fear, or dreading something. You don't have to be happy with the person you're with, whether it's a friend, a relative, your significant other, whatever it is, you don't have to be happy with them all the time. A lot of us are, depending on the relationship, I think about the relationship with me and my mom, especially when I was a teenager, and how contentious it was. But no matter how much we fought as a mom and daughter, every day I was like, I'm so thankful she's my mom and no one else's. And I think it's so important to recognize thoughts like that, because it may just be something that runs through your mind and slips out, and it's like you don't even really register it. But they are really important thoughts that can help you recognize just how important certain people are to you. And again, whatever that wish is, it's gonna be different for everyone. I think I've used primarily examples of people and relationships here, but I don't think it has to be that. It's what I relate to the most, and I think it's what a lot of people relate to the most, or I shouldn't assume that, I guess, but I think it can be other things like your hobby or even your work. That seems like a weird one, I know, considering what a crappy situation, the workforce is for a lot of people right now. But I do think that could, people who there are people who truly love their jobs, and it gives them so much meaning in their life. Those people may be far and few between, I know, but something like that can be your wish. Again, there's no absolutes here when it comes to what is important and meaningful to you. If you have watched Puss in Boots, or if you've watched any reviews or commentaries, analysis videos of it, something you will see come up quite a lot is, of course, the relationship between Perito and Puss, particularly when Puss has a panic attack and Perito goes to comfort him and doesn't know what to do. And again, if you haven't seen this, Perito's an adorable little Chihuahua dog. He's so cute. But he chases after Puss as Puss is running away, having a panic attack, and he doesn't know what to do, and he's looking around, and he can't get Puss's attention. He can't calm him down, and he just stops and rests his head on Puss's lap, and just is there with him, and just allows him to. It's like that wonderful human touch that can be so healing and comforting, and just to be with someone, just be in their presence, to let them know that they're not alone, and to help them come down from something like that, from a panic attack. I think those of us with pets, especially dogs, but I think it applies to all pets, can relate to that scene so much. So many of us, our pets are what we live for, whether we've got a lot of other people in our lives who are dear to us or not. I know there are some people and their pets all they have, and there's nothing wrong with that. But so many of us can relate to just how our animals bring so much meaning to our lives. To reference another content creator I love, Saber Spark. He's great. He does a lot of reviews and commentary on animated movies, TV shows, just any sort of animated content. And in his review of Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, he talks about how he never cries in movies. He doesn't get emotional just not one of those people that movies affects him that way. And when he watched that scene where Torito helps Puss calm down from the panic attack, he said it just got him, and he couldn't hold back the emotions that he felt. And part of it is because he himself has a dog, and he was in a really dark spot at one time. I don't remember the specifics, but I think it was some sort of depression where it's just, when you feel like, if you've had depression or suffer from it, suffer from clinical depression especially, those feelings of just hopelessness. Like, what's the point? Why go on? It's a bit more melodramatic, but you get the point. But he was in that kind of state of mind, and his dog came up to him and just put its head next to his lap, just like in the movie. And he talked about how that was just like, it just like reignited and just like put the life back in him, because of that sweet animal that clearly loves him so much. And I know I relate to that with my dog. And I think that kind of feeling, if you're struggling to recognize what your wish is, if you're someone with who owns an animal, I hate saying own an animal, it's like they're a family, but if you have a pet, there's a good chance you've experienced something like that. And I think that recognizing that kind of feeling of love that you get from your pet, especially in those situations, is a great way to recognize, other things in your life that you would consider your wish as well. Recognize where else you felt something like that. That is, again, just puts the life back in you, and it reminds you that, there's so much terrible stuff going on. The world's a mess, but there's still so much goodness. There's so much for me to be here for. Recognizing that wish, again, it's something that gives you comfort. I keep saying it, but it's not necessarily something that's going to take away all the bad feelings, but makes it worth struggling through all of that negative crap in your life. It makes it worth fighting through all of the trials that it feels like we're put through needlessly. And even if now, as we're nearing the end of the video, if you still haven't recognized anything, that's okay. It is hard sometimes to recognize it, but I hope so much that you can. I think that in time you will. You just have to find what it is that gives you that type of meaning, gives you that kind of joy and comfort and confidence, and fills you with life. I'm just going to keep brushing your face for a bit. I'm not necessarily going to say anything else. I hope I wasn't rambling too much. I was trying to get all my thoughts straight, and I think I might have let my musings take over my better thought out points or whatever. But didn't do too bad getting my point across. I just want to, again, let you enjoy this comforting, soft brush. And remember, whether you realize it now or not, you have everything you could wish for. No magic required. It is so much more than just a lovely sentiment. It really is something I think can transcend just a fairy tale. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for listening to my ramblings. I hope they helped. And if they didn't, I hope that you at least got some nice tingles tonight. And if you've seen Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, please leave me a little comment so we can geek out about it in the comments. Because it's such a wonderful movie. And I hope you have a lovely, lovely